This is one of our favorite times of the year to come in front of you and to show a little bit about what our department has accomplished, just a small portion over the past year. And before we get into our award program, I wanted to just mention this past February 16th, this last week, was the 39th anniversary of the passing of Officer Fred Beard. As normal, we took a wreath out to the gravesite to honor him there, and then we had a special honorarium at our site here next to the police department. But we just wanted to point that out. The first thing we're going to start off with is our Perfect Attendance Award. Believe it or not, we had 8 recipients this year for perfect attendance. And while that might not really seem like many, when you consider the size of our department, that's a third of our department. And when you're talking about people that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, out in all kinds of weather, and then you happen to throw in a little thing like COVID to the mix, a lot of these officers and a lot of these people have families, have children, and it's very, very easy to catch something from the kids, as we all know. So having 8 people that have perfect attendance in 1 year is remarkable, in my opinion. And this is not the first year we've done this. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize those people. I have Sergeant Biggs come down here. First one I want to recognize is Sergeant Biggs and Sergeant Branham. Sergeant Biggs is going to hand himself his award. Sergeant Branham. And when you come down here, if you could all stay down. Appreciate that. And anybody that has a camera, if you can take a picture of Sergeant Branham, he loves to have his picture. Just trying to help. Detective Bob Bell and Detective Scott Lawson. For those of you that don't know, Detective Bell is home recuperating from a recent surgery, so he's not able to join us. Officer John Garwood and Officer Jared Moore. Officer John Garwood has a teaching engagement tonight. He's not able to be here. Officer Moore is. Officer Moore comes a close second to Sergeant Branham as far as liking his picture taken. And then Officer Ian Hogston and Records Clerk Christine Tato. And these are 6 of the 8 recipients of the Perfect Attendance Award. This is not the first time that some of these individuals have won this award. It won't be the last time either, I can guarantee you. It just shows dedication and commitment that they have to the community and to the police department. And I appreciate all their efforts and their dedication. Thank you very much. Okay, the next award that we want to present is our Exemplary Service Award. And for that, we have Detective Scott Lawson, Officer Chris Fairchild, Officer John Perry, Officer Pasquale Bruno, and Officer Seth Paul. You guys are going to be here just a little bit, so get comfortable. Okay. Our Exemplary Service Award is an award given for an act or conduct which is considered to be outstanding. The act or conduct that was exhibited directly contributed to the safety of the public or the coordination and benefit of the members of the West Carrollton Police Department. That's the official explanation for the award, and I want to get into a little bit about what each one of these individuals did. Officer Bruno and Officer Paul are receiving the Exemplary Service Award for an incident that happened in August of 21. There was a fire call that occurred at Centerville Park Apartments. Actually, it was called in as a problem with an appliance. I would say that would be an understatement. When they got there, one of the apartment buildings was engulfed in flames, heavy black smoke, and then Officer Paul and Officer Bruno proceeded to evacuate residents. Officer Bruno was a little overzealous, kicking a door in. Eventually the door gave way, but so did his back. So he was injured, but the reason I bring that up was he continued to serve in that capacity, barely able to stand up for the next 30 minutes, which is commendable. Officer Paul then was able to go back and keep a family from going back into their apartment to try to get some items and some property. Also was able to rescue a dog, and being a dog lover myself, that's extremely important. I'm very happy with that. Rescue a dog and reunite it with the family. So that is the Exemplary Service Award given to Officer Bruno and Officer Seth Paul. Officer John Perry. A couple things about Officer Perry's work at the police department. Officer Perry, if you've been to our awards assembly before, he's been recognized numerous times, as have many of these individuals, as they will in the future. Officer Perry is extremely proactive in everything he does. He's proactive in his drug enforcement, and his traffic stops, and his weapons enforcement. And over the course of 2021, 14 traffic stops that he made led to drug seizures and seizures of firearms. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. And also, he had 15 OVI arrests to go along with that. So he was able to take 15 impaired drivers off the street, all while he was training 2 new officers, and also as he was serving as the officer in charge of the midnight shift when the supervisor wasn't present. If I'm not mistaken, you were the primary OIC, and I think the only OIC for a while. So that duty fell on him solely. So he was able to accomplish all these achievements while he was juggling about a half a dozen other things. Officer Chris Fairchild. Officer Fairchild had numerous cases with the SOFAST task force. And for those of you that don't know what SOFAST is, it's a task force in southern Ohio that is responsible for apprehending violent felons. It is a regional task force comprised of the U.S. Marshals and then numerous other law enforcement agencies around the area. Officer Fairchild serves in a part-time capacity 1 day a week, and according to the SOFAST command staff, they would really like to have him on a full-time basis because he does such an awesome job. One case in particular that when I was reading over, I thought was kind of interesting. There was an assault that occurred in our city, a particularly vicious assault, and Officer Fairchild spoke to the suspect of the assault and asked him to come in and turn himself in, and the suspect issued a challenge to Officer Fairchild. He said, "Come find me." So game on. It took about 24 hours, and Officer Fairchild had the gentleman in custody. So don't challenge Officer Fairchild. So some of the things that he's done, some of the cases involve abduction, some homicides, trafficking in drugs, passing bad checks, endangering children, felonious assaults, burglaries, and he also helped locate a missing juvenile from another state. So just that's on a part-time, 1 day a week basis. So he does a tremendous job with SOFAST. And last but definitely not least, Detective Scott Lawson. As a detective, our detectives don't primarily work the road at all. They're focused on being a detective, working plain clothes, handling investigations. However, this past year we've had a situation with the department where we had quite a few people off on injury leave, and we were very short. Detective Lawson saw that, stepped up, volunteered to work the road, so the officers that were being ordered to work overtime would have a break. Very commendable, Officer Lawson. Matter of fact, I think he just did it again last week. So, Scott Lawson handles numerous felony cases. Some of the things that people have said about him: role model, He's a mentor. One of the cases that he handled was a road rage incident where the only thing he had was a brief description of a vehicle, and through the investigation, he was able to locate the suspect and obtain a confession. And when I say road rage incident, that was the incident where a gentleman actually shot at another vehicle, barely missing the head of the driver. So that was just one of the cases that Officer Lawson had. He was recognized by the 100 Club for his actions, specifically for a case that started in 2018 that involved a homicide at a group home. Officer Lawson investigated that for 3 years, while the deceased had really nobody there to champion for them. Scott took up the banner and ran with it and was able to locate the suspect, gain a confession and a conviction. But it took 3 years. That's how long he stayed with it. So those are our 5 Exemplary Service Award winners for 2021. Congratulations. Our last award is for our Employee of the Year, and the Employee of the Year award is given to department employee who is recognized for an act, achievement, or series of events in the previous year that their fellow employees believe deserves special recognition. And before I go any further with that, all these nominations, they occurred from within the department by their peers. So all these people that received the Exemplary Service Award were nominated by their peers, just as the Employee of the Year was this year. Matter of fact, our Employee of the Year this year had no fewer than 3 nominations, so very well deserved. And our Employee of the Year is Officer Ian Hogston. A lot to hold there, huh? A little bit about Officer Hogston. He was hired in May of 2019. Since he was hired, he's not taken a sick day. Not one, which is commendable. With everything we've been through since 2019, that's remarkable. Some of the things that his coworkers say about Ian is he's proactive, he has a tremendous work ethic, he's extremely consistent, dependable, and he has a great attitude. His attitude is infectious on the shift. They love working with him. He has an eagerness to perform, and he is a team player. Ian's kind of specialized in traffic stops, just like Officer Perry, and he made a lot of drug and intel stops last year. And from those stops, not just those stops, but from those stops and his other activity, he had 23 felony arrests, 92 total arrests, and he took 180 reports while he was busy doing other things. He also worked almost 480 hours of overtime during 2021, which was second on the department. In October of 21, Officer Hogston conducted a traffic stop. He recovered a stolen vehicle from that stop, made 2 arrests, confiscated a handgun, drugs, $4,000 in cash, and that was on the 11th hour of a 12-hour shift. And 12-hour shifts were fairly common in 2021, hopefully not as common this year. You might have seen Officer Hogston's picture and video on Facebook. Around Halloween, he went out and handed out candy, and so much so to the delight of some of the residents, they decided to film him giving candies to some of the kids. So he was on Facebook for a while, handing out candy to some of the kids. Made a tremendous impact in a positive way for the department. Some of the things that Officer Hogston does in his spare time with the department when he's not doing everything else, he's a driving instructor, and again, he's only been a police officer since May of 2019. He's a driving instructor. He's one of our new drone pilots. Matter of fact, he was the drone pilot that was able to locate the gentleman that we had discussed last week about that was from a neighboring jurisdiction that was stealing out of sheds. That was Officer Hogston that located him doing that. And Officer Hogston has recently been selected as an officer to serve as an officer in charge of a shift. which again, only serving since 2019 is a remarkable feat. So, and I know it's just the beginning of a remarkable career. So I give you the 2021 Employee of the Year for the West Carrollton Police Department, Officer Ian Hogston.
I want to say this is always the best night of the year to hear about the police department and the awards and all the things that they do. But the perfect attendance is just amazing. Right now, law enforcement in general, and COVID, that's just amazing to have that many perfect attendance. So keep up the great work, everybody.
I'd like to say the same thing. Certainly, council's always been proud of the police department. We support you. These are just a few of the reasons why we support you, not just compared to your day-to-day operations, the things you do for all the citizens. And we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate all the winners. Y'all did a wonderful job, and I'm sure other people in the department as well that we didn't hear from about today. You have a good department. I can tell all the camaraderie and how close-knit they are, and I'm proud to see them out when they're driving in the street and waving to people. So congratulations, everybody. Thank you, Chief Woodard.
Congratulations, all of you. Keep up the good work. You guys don't get the appreciation sometime that you deserve, but we definitely appreciate you guys.
Congratulations to all the nominees. And I take great pride in good work ethic, and it seems like a lot of you have, and same nominees over and over, and it is a really good department. And that, you know, that shows just for your fellow workers, just showing up and being there and willing to do the extra time, and it's really great. So congratulations to everyone.
I too like to congratulate all the recipients tonight, and I'll tell you, Chief, it starts at the top. It starts with you, and then it goes down from there. And you've put together an excellent department. And in the climate the way it is today, and the attitude of not everybody, but of a lot of people towards police, you guys have a tough job to do, and we respect you. Thank you.